Now, before all the fun at the last segment of the show, let's now go straight to the first story, which will be talking still about ceasefire in Gaza. The UN Security Council has called for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza after the US did not veto the measure in a shift from its previous position. It also demanded the immediate and unconditional release of all hostages.
It is the first time the Council has called for a ceasefire since the war began in October. The bombardment has killed at least 32,333 people and injured more than 74,694 others.
And to elaborate more about the resolution, we are now connected with the rector of General Ahmad Yani University in Cimahi, West Java, Hikmahanto Juwana. Good afternoon, Professor, and thank you for joining us in the 3-Hour News Show. Yeah,
Thank you very much.
We as the international world seeing Palestine now and looking at the ceasefire or the resolutions, it looks like a very fresh air. But why is it such a temporary ceasefire? Why does it have an expiry date?
Well, I suppose because the President of the United States stated that the United States wants Israel to stop the hostilities against Palestinians in Gaza in the month of Ramadan, because we know that we are entering for Muslim the month of Ramadan. So President Joe Biden has stated that the U.S. would want Israel to do a ceasefire. Yes, after the Ramadan, maybe Israel may continue its hostilities against the people of Gaza in trying to find people connected to Hamas. But this is, of course, being brought by the United States, that the United States has a great concern that the ceasefire needs to be there, even though it's going to be a temporary one.
So, Professor Hikmahanto, this is Rory speaking. How significant is actually the UN Security Council's call for immediate ceasefire? Is it legally binding? Or if not, then would it be possible for all the Security Council's members to try whatever they can to make sure that Israel obey this decision?
Okay, first of all, the world now sees finally the UN has its teeth in trying to stop the war in Gaza. Finally, the Security Council can pass a resolution without any veto from the members of the 5 permanent members, especially the United States. That's one thing. This is very important. Second, now it seems to the world that the United States have shifted their policy in looking at Israel attack on Gaza. Before, the United States always backed Israel because according to the United States, that it agrees Israel attack is the right of Israel to do its self-defense. But now the shift means that the United States sees that the attack is not proportional and it may amount to genocide against the Palestinians. Now the third thing, even though this is very important, the Security Council resolution, however, it may not be abide by Israel. And the reason is because Israel may say that, as a state which has a sovereignty, it may opt to say that it will not bound by an international organization resolution. Now, the problem with the resolution is that there is no enforcement actions if Israel is not going to observe the resolution. And this is a problem because usually under this situation, when there's a resolution, there's going to be enforcement. For example, when Iraq being asked to stop the attack against Kuwait in 1990, there was an enforcement action. The United Nations Security Council mandated for multinational forces to go against the Iraq. But now the question is the resolution does not mention anything about enforcement. The resolution does not mention a mandate for the multinational forces to be established. And then the multinational forces is going to go against Israel attack. So this is something that is lacking in this resolution. So we, of course, we have to, I suppose, look into how Israel is going to respond to this, because now the United States is not at the, is not supporting Israel, at least in this month Ramadan, in the attack against the Palestinians in Gaza.
Yes, Professor Ranga here. I wanted to follow up a little bit on one of the points that you made earlier about enforcing the resolution. So should, let's say, Hamas and Israel, they don't do anything or they don't move forward with what the resolution just stated, what can maybe the member states do to make sure that these two sides do the ceasefire that everybody wanted right now?
Without any enforcement on the resolution and also without the mandate of a multinational forces, then the resolution, even though it is being passed by Security Council, it will be meaningless for Israel, for the world, to see whether Israel is going to stop the war. Israel, of course, may say that, I remember Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu mentioned that it's not going to be The Hague or any other organization that will stop Israel in attacking Gaza, in trying to make sure that there's no Hamas element in Gaza and there's not going to be any attack from Gaza to Israel in the future. So, by saying that it's not going to be The Hague, the International Court of Justice, nor say Security Council, then Israel is going to disregard any resolution.
Yeah. I mean, looking at the footage that we had before, even the Palestinians, they said that this means nothing to us because what we want is actually an eternal ceasefire. Even so, the U.S. had finally used its abstention right now, not using the veto power again. But what is it? What are the factors that led the U.S. not vetoing the ceasefire measure this time, as the move indicates a shift from its previous stance, you think?
Yes, as I mentioned earlier, it is a shift from backing Israel to exercise its right to self-defense into a policy that the U.S. says that Israel is attacking Gaza without any proportionality.
Yeah,
so the U.S. will not condone.
Professor, I just want to make sure, does this have anything to do with the election that is ongoing in the United States? I mean, the shift of policy from the United States?
Well, it may have, implication with the election. And this is because most of U.S. citizens who will vote soon is in a position that they cannot see attack from Israel against the Palestinians, against those who are innocent, the lives of children, the lives of women, and the senior citizens in Palestine, and they see this from various footage, television and social media. So probably Joe Biden wants to secure his ticket to become the next president of the U.S. And because of that, he make a change in his policy.
Professor, Indonesia, through its Foreign Affairs Minister Retno Marsudi, has voiced out many concerns, condemnation towards Israel's assault towards Palestinian people in Gaza. But now, after the resolution is passed, what can Indonesia do to make sure that Israel apply what has been decided in the Security Council?
Okay, now I think the Indonesian government, through its foreign minister, may want to lobby get too close to the U.S., making sure that this policy of ceasefire is going to be an eternal policy, not only in the month of Ramadan. And then Indonesia can convince the U.S. that it is the right policy for the U.S. To have a ceasefire, and we need to support the U.S. government. Also, for the Indonesian citizens, we of course would want Indonesian citizens to voice their concern, and then their concern can be voiced through social media. Hopefully, it will reach the citizen of Israel, because what we want to see is the citizen of Israel is going to make a replacement of the current prime minister. Because in the change of government, we hope that there's going to be a change in policy. And I think this is very important. And the U.S. citizens have shown this concern, and the U.S. government has changed its policy. Now the question is whether we can convince the Israeli citizen so that they can change a policy through, changing their government.
Yes, Professor, still on the matter, on the topic a little bit now, what challenges and opportunities does Indonesia have to encounter, that's probably going to encounter in its efforts to contribute effectively to resolving situation in Gaza and, of course, fostering peace in the region?
Well, as I mentioned, we are close with the United States. We are also close with other big powers such as China, Russia. Of course, Indonesia can lobby this country and to make sure that they see the attack from Israel is no longer a right of self-defense, but it is an act of that amounts to genocide. That's one. Secondly, we have to be very active in the United Nations to make sure that all efforts within the United Nations can be, put in an effort so that there's going to be a ceasefire, permanent ceasefire. And thirdly, we need to push within the Palestinian the two-state solution, because I think this is a solution that hopefully peace will be achieved. So there are things that can be done by the Indonesian government, and I think the Indonesian government is doing it right now. And of course, we have our ASEAN member countries to make sure that we have the same position with within the ASEAN in looking at the crisis in Palestine.
Professor Hikmahanto Juwana, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much. We really value your insights on this.